Welcome to H.I.T Podcast, H.I.T, Human Resources, Insurance, and Technology. I'm your host, Toby Kennedy. As we do every week, we are dropping into your feed on Tuesdays with what I hope are bite-sized, digestible, but really fun, really good conversations with folks in the space. This week's episode will be no exception. I cannot say that more excitedly. This week's episode is brought to you by Montage Insurance Solutions, and without an absolute iota of further ado, I bring you the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Harry. Jeff, thank you so darn much for being on the show, dude.
I'm so excited. We've been working on this for so long. I'm so happy we're making this happen.
Well, we're working on it, AKA like, yeah, you're like Mr. Globetrotter. It's like every time I touch in with you, you're like, well, sorry, I'm keynoting here. Well, sorry, I'll be on this stage there. It's like, yo, getting you in the chair is like royalty these days, my brother.
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah. Well, let's back up this wonderful relationship here. About 12 months ago, give or take, I saw you at the big CAHR. Shout out to Raphael and Pyra and the folks that do an amazing job with that human resources conference that pulls in thousands of people. They do in-person and virtual, and I cannot plug that specific event enough. You, my friend, were one of the fantastic, and might I add, incredibly well-reviewed and received speakers there, not only because you had a Lego tie, but also because a bow tie, yes, but also because of the content. We were the official podcast, and we'll be again this year, by the way, so that's awesome, of the event, and therefore we're pulling some folks off of the stage into the booth. We had like a 5-minute mini chat, and I was like, I will spend the next 12 months, 15 months, however long it takes, begging you to get on for a full episode, because you are such a great breath of fresh air in the space. So that is my version of the background. But Jeff, allow me to introduce the listener to you. Please give us the nickel tour. Who are you? How do you get in the chair today? Give me the overview.
All right, I'll give you the dime tour. Let's even a little longer. We're having longer.
It's good. I got a fresh cup of tea. Let's do this.
Yeah. So do you remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks?
I sure do.
Yeah. So I saw that when I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
And he was dancing on a piano, and I was like, you could do that for a living? Like, he got a job playing with toys for a living. So I started writing toy companies in 3rd grade.
That's amazing.
And I did not stop until I got in the toy industry, like, I think 15 years later, right? 15, 20 years later.
They were opposed to hiring an 8-year-old, you're trying to say?
Yeah, I know. I wrote so many letters. I was doing spam before spam was a thing. I didn't even realize what I was doing when I was sending all these letters. So, but when I finally got into the toy industry, have you ever gotten exactly what you've always wanted and then been so disappointed when you got it, right? Like,
yeah.
There was no toys, no fun, no high fives, no joy, no play.
And nobody asked me how fast I can run in my new sneakers.
Yeah, man. No, there was no piano to dance on. I was like, where's the piano at least? So I left New York. I left the toy industry. I bumped into a job in San Francisco, or San Francisco Bay Area. I live in Oakland. I found a job on Craigslist.
That's amazing.
Teaching kids engineering with Lego.
Okay.
But it was a job playing with toys for a living. Yeah. And we took it from 7 people to 400 people.
Wow.
It became the largest Lego-inspired STEM organization in the U.S. We were teaching 100,000 kids a year. I was doing it for so many years that we were in Silicon Valley that we got the attention of all the tech companies, Google, Amazon, Adobe, PayPal, all that. So I started running team building events with them for the next decade.
It's amazing.
And I realized, even though they were considered the best companies in the world, a lot of them were not fun places to work.
Yeah.
So back in like 2019, I created Rediscover Your Play to actually bring more play to the workplace and make work not suck so much.
I hope on your birthday, everyone around you says that God bless us for living in this world with you. The fact that like you are in this world and we get to be in it. May there be more of you, ever more of you.
Well, because I mean, we're at work 40 hours a week. We're at work 2,000 to 2,500 hours a year. Yeah. Like, some of it doesn't have to suck. Like, how do we bring some play or fun? And I even argue that you make more money when you're at play.
Yeah.
You're more creative. You're more innovative. People actually want to come to work. All these people right now, or all these managers are like, I don't know how we get our staff back into the office. Make it enjoyable for them to be
Yeah.
there. And then you won't be struggling to drag them back in.
Yeah. It's funny how on the surface that can sound like such a basic idea, and yet I imagine it hits people as so novel, profound, and unthought of.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they don't know how to have fun at work. They don't see work as fun. I get it. That's
Do they know
totally
how to have
understand.
fun anymore? Like, period? I mean, at work?
There's a lot of people. I mean, if you've met some managers and you're like, this is,
Have you met people?
yeah, it's like Professor Umbridge from like Harry Potter, like,
Yeah.
so, and I talk to people all the time about, there's a quote from Stephen Johnson, you'll find the future where people are having the most fun. Like, look at the organizations that are taking the most risks, that are creating environments that people want to come to, the TikToks, the Hulus. It used to be Netflix as well.
BuzzFeed was probably in there, right?
Right. At one point, it was the place to be. Everyone gravitates towards it. Heck, Amazon back in 1998 was the place to be for all tech heads. They were flying to Seattle. They're just trying to be around Bezos. And then at some point, he became Lex Luthor. Now it's not an innovative place to be, right? But the places that are willing.
That's why I keep myself marginally out of shape. You don't want to be buff Jeff Bezos. You want to be old school Jeff Bezos, the fun Jeff Bezos.
You want to be old school. You want to be the classic.
That's good.
And when I say play, I'm not talking about forced fun. I'm not talking about escape rooms, slides, ping pong tables, pickleball. Like, you put Samantha in a room with Chad, they're going to hate each other when they go in the escape room. They're going to hate each other when they leave. Yeah. Team building only just reveals what the team already is at, right? Like, team building really is conversations on a regular basis. The play I'm talking about is what is helping your staff focus on the work where they forget about time, right? The work where they would do even if they weren't getting paid to do this work.
Right.
And I give the example of Google way back in the day. They used to have something called a 20% rule where they would give their staff a fifth of their time to do whatever they wanted, as long as it benefited Google. That playground, that play they allowed them to do, created Gmail, Google News, Google Maps, AdSense. The foundations of Google came from play. I think a lot of people forget that.
So I'm so fascinated in all these things you just said. I want to almost like take them in order, but you sort of made like a comment / joke, like, hey man, team building is talking along the way. So tell me what you think team building is so that we can define what we're talking about, what it's not. You know what I mean?
Team building is checking in with your staff and being like, how are you? How's your mental state? How can I support you? How do I make your work easier?
Yeah.
Team building is you being able to have a hard conversation like, hey, where are ways in which I can improve as a manager? Where do I suck?
Yeah.
How many of the tasks you're currently doing are a waste of time? That, like, building rapport with your staff, right?
And that, to be clear, you actually do also recommend.
Yeah. Like, the whole point is, like, you have to be able to have hard conversations with your staff and build that level of trust, like understand their language of appreciation, understand their zone of genius, understand why they're at the job. Do you even know why they're there? Right. Oh, I think they're just there for a paycheck. No, actually, they care about their family. Maybe they care about, they really want to get their daughter into college, and this is like a big deal for them. And if you knew their why, you wouldn't, if they had some family event that was happening and they had to go to it, you wouldn't be like, you can't go to that event, because you understand their why. So my challenge to managers is, do you understand your staff's why? Do you understand their language of appreciation? Do you understand their zone of genius, their play, their flow work? And then lastly, do you know when they feel seen, heard, and appreciated? And do you know when they don't feel that?
So, and I don't mean to make this linear, and you tell me if there's an order to these things, but would you say that you get that piece right first and then you move into fun? Or, because I wanted to contrast with what fun's not, what it is, what team building is, what it's not. So you're talking about old, good, fundamental principles of team building and honestly being a human and man management and all those things. And would you say that an organization wants to get that right first?
Yeah. Play is vulnerable. You're not allowed to have my play if I don't trust you, right?
Yeah.
So like if you think about when you were on a playground as a kid, if like there was a bully on the playground, you're like, I don't want to play.
Or you don't
Like,
play
it's
house
kind of
with them.
scary.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, like I don't feel safe,
Yeah.
right? So it starts with like, it may even start with you apologizing to your staff over the last 3 years. Well, what am I apologizing for? Just how crazy and messed up everything's been. You got to remember, even staff that you didn't affect, there's a lot of staff that are bringing in trauma from other workplaces
Yeah.
where they felt used, where they felt exploited, where they
Totally.
felt taken advantage of. So you just acknowledging like, hey, I'm sorry you went through that. Just starting to build that rapport and that safety, right? Then figuring out what is their why, like why are they here? What's the purpose of them being here besides just a paycheck? And then understanding their language of appreciation and then giving to them in that way, that builds the trust so that later on you can be like, okay, now I think we have enough of a psychologically safe space that we can start playing.
Yeah, I was going to say psychological capital. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
right term, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking about that. So, okay. So, and this probably extends to managers and human resources and probably leadership in general, right? We want to be
Oh, absolutely. Everyone.
having
Yeah.
these conversations and sort of imbuing those thoughts and feelings. So we get those things right, and then we're kind of, I don't want to call it table stakes, but we're table stakes, right? And then
Yeah.
that's where someone like Jeff comes in and goes, look, you'll hear a lot of people talk to you about everything we've talked about in the last, I don't know, 10 minutes, 7 minutes on this podcast. Going forward, the stuff that I think makes you so special and interesting is where you take the conversation from here. So let me kind of turn it over to you to help me understand and define and sort of wrap with me.
So we want to maximize our staff's output, right? We want them to do really great work. So we have to identify their flow work. Gay Hendricks refers to it as their zone of genius, right? Like there are 4 zones. There's zone of incompetence, things you suck at; zone of competence, things you're average at; zone of excellence, this is what most people spend time on, things you're really good at that you don't really care about, but you
Yeah.
just do it because you get paid for it. But zone of genius is the work where you forget about time, right?
I love that.
It's that work that you would do even if you weren't getting paid to do that work.
Yep.
If you get your staff to do 5 hours of that work, they become 5 times more productive. 500% more productive. That's an actual study from a positive psychologist, Marty Seligman. They get into their flow work and then they feel more seen, appreciated, and valued because they're doing the work they love most.
So let me ask
They're
you how
more
those 5 hours best allocate, unless I'm like asking a silly question, like 1 hour a day, 5 hours in a clip. It doesn't matter.
However you can figure it out. And
Yep.
and 5 hours is just like the start. That's what Google did. They gave them 5. They were like, we can't give all that time. But it was just like, but it was acknowledging that it's not just something you table, right? Because their work, that flow work, is where most of your innovation and creativity is going to come. Some of your best inventions, some of your best creations will come from their flow work. So you want them actually in that space. You don't want them wasting their time writing reports, letting you know how they did last year or whatever it is, because that's a waste of time, right? We want them doing their flow work as much as possible because you'll make the most money when you actually have them doing their flow work.
So how does the average company or the average business facilitate this? What does this look like in a business arena?
It depends, right? So there's certain companies that they could have like directives around identifying, okay, what projects are your flow projects? What are your play projects? And how much time do we want to devote to them? And how much money we want to invest in that? If you can do that, that's great. But if it's just something as simple as your manager being like, I'm trying to solve a problem. I don't know how to solve it. I want you to use your flow work to address the problem. I'm going to give you X amount of hours to do it. Watch what happens, right? Watch what happens. How, like, let's say you're part of a creative team, like a marketing team or whatever, and you're like, how do we figure out more ways to like garner sales or bring more people to the website? Have half your staff do it the standard way and have half your staff be free to make it up their way. And just see. Don't believe me. Don't believe any of the stuff I'm saying, right? Test it out yourself. But I guarantee you the people pursuing their flow work are going to be happier, which means they're actually going to do more work because they love the work they're doing. They're not going to be counting down the hours like currently many staffers are doing. And I'll say this last bit. Gen Z is going to be 23rd. In 2030, they're going to be 30% of the workforce.
Yeah.
Like, are staff ready for that? Gen Alpha is going to be 15%. Do you know Gen Alpha? I don't.
They say skibbity, so that's all I know.
But I guarantee you they're going to want to play more. I guarantee you they're going to be wanting to be more engaged.
Yeah.
And you being like, we give you a paycheck, so that's it. That's enough. That just doesn't work. It just
that old Don Draper, that's what the money's for.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for you this week. I know what you're thinking. Man, this was an amazing conversation. I can't wait to see the exciting conclusion. Join us next week. We want to stick to our goal of keeping these episodes bite-sized, digestible. We don't want to go too long, so broke this into 2 halves. Hope you enjoyed the first half. Join us next week, Tuesday, for the second half. This week's episode was sponsored by TrueHue and Excel Health. We are so grateful for you guys for joining us. We will pick up next week, and until next week, make this the best week yet.